Hello and welcome to Caching Waves. This is your Elliott wave update for Bitcoin. For the purposes of this chart, I'm using Bitstamp. I just wanted to show you, this is my primary count, that we have a WXY moving in a series of complex corrections to the upside. We had our W wave here as an ABC with an expanded flat B wave, long extended X wave, very complex. And we're making or finishing our A wave to the upside in our eventual Y wave. Now this is my primary count that we need another move to the upside as a 1, 2, 3, finished our fourth, and we're now moving up in our fifth. I'll show you those targets in a lower time frame. That's my current primary count, and eventually we need this move to the downside. I would adjust these fibs based on wherever that top is, but it appears like we're getting pretty close to at least a short-term top. We need a larger correction, and my alternative on this A wave specifically is that we have topped, and I'll show you how both of those are possible. And then we need a retracement here between 31,454 and 37,868. Those were the standard retracements for our B wave, using both linear and log scale. That's our range, but we'll be able to nail those down closer once we have some waves to get some extensions on and some good solid pivots on that. But going to my alternative, which is a impulse, where we have our wave 1, 2, ugly 2. We have our second wave 1, very long 2, and we're working on our third wave to the upside in blue. I'm not a big fan of this count just because it doesn't break rules, but the guidelines are all off. But it is a possibility. I'm not going to put too much weight into that. But at the moment, we'll go with my primary 5 waves where we need another move to the upside. We'll go down to the hourly, and I'll show you why that is. Okay, so as you can see here on Bitstamp, we had a 3, 3, 5. That is a flat. This is pretty clearly 5 waves on Bitstamp to the downside. This is 3, this is 3. Very, very clear, right? Very clear. If that is correct, then this is a complex correction where we get a 3, 3, 3. And if we have a flat for our W wave in our complex correction, like so, that is a flat. We had our 3-wave complex correction for our X wave. We expect a zigzag for our Y wave, which we have. That's why I have this as potentially correct and our bottom potentially in. Because usually when we get a flat, we want a zigzag for our Y wave. Trying to keep this simple. I hope you guys understand that. So we got our ABC for our zigzag. We should be complete here. Now, if this count is wrong and we go to my alternate, I have to go to the CME futures for this one. If you watch my yesterday's video, this is how we could have been correct. And a top could be in here. That is, we had a flat wave for our A wave, which is allowed in a triangle. 3, 3, 5, A, B, C, D, E. We took off for our fifth at the end of our triangle, and our top is in for that 5th wave. I don't like the shape of this triangle, which is why I don't put a lot of weight into it. I do believe we need further upside. But you can see there is a way we have topped. But going back to this, we have our flat pattern. Again, this looks very clear. A 3, 3, 5. X wave, zigzag, done. So that's why I'm expecting that we're going to get further upside. Now how we would get that, most likely if this is a bottom, this is a 3 wave, we would expect a ending diagonal. Targets currently this is just a placeholder. We'd have to decide that when we finally get our pivot in here, where that would be. But if we just double bottom here, come to the 618, it's about 48,800-ish currently. But on today's wave, I was keeping track of this, most likely a double zigzag for our wave 1. We then have 3 waves, as you can see right here, 3 waves down, B wave, 3 waves up, or potentially not even complete yet. We can get anything here but a triangle for our wave 2 of an ending diagonal. So we could get a flat where we make a higher high, come down, then go. We've reached the minimum requirement here. You can see in the smaller fibs for our flat, where we get a 3, 3, 5. We've also passed the 786 already, so we might get running flats. This could come up like this, and then we go. So there's lots of different options the way this can be finished. But as of right now, anticipating another move down below this A, but protect this low before we get our third wave. What that wave will be is yet to be seen, but expecting a 333 or a 335. Okay. So let's say everything we discussed previous is wrong, and this was the top, the CME futures chart. Then what would that look like? How would we drop from here? And the most likely scenario to me would be we topped there in our 5th, and we're working on an A wave to the downside. Let me just get rid of this. And I've labeled that scenario here, and it will be invalidated as soon as we go above this B wave. We had a zigzag to the downside as an A wave. B wave up again came above that 70% minimum requirement for this to be a flat wave in itself, and we'd be looking for an ending diagonal here. In a flat, the C wave has to be an ending diagonal or an impulse. So 5 waves to the downside. So if this doesn't happen, most likely we're making that diagonal to the upside. So our targets currently, if this pivot holds, looks like it's starting to break already, would be between 41,338 and 41,646 for our third wave, and our fourth. Then we just have to make a new low below this A wave. And all that would do in the larger time frame, again, if this is a larger term top, is create an A wave. We'd look for a B wave, C wave again to drag to the downside. So it would be very slow moving correction to the downside. But it looks like that's already about to invalidate itself currently while I'm doing this chart. Alternatives to this being postponed is this could be an A, still working on a B, C, and then we come back down. That's still valid. This flat potential is valid all the way past that expanded area we usually track, the 1.236 and 382 extension of this wave here to the upside. That's how long this is valid for. I'll just put this on as a placeholder. I'll get rid of that for a moment. So this is valid all the way up to this area. This flat pattern is valid all the way up to this area, invalidated past 49,213 before this becomes invalid as a flat wave. Keep that in mind. But at that point, we'd be well past our expectations on this 15-minute ending diagonal for targeting. So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. It looks like we need potentially one more move down here before we make this third wave. Most likely a flat or WXY. The only difference here is what wave we get here, 3 or 5. Would change the labeling. But my bias is to the upside. Again, to reiterate, this looks like a flat. We get our X wave. We'd expect a zigzag for our Y, not 5 waves down. So I am heavily biased to the upside currently. Current targets on this ending diagonal is 48,779, but again, that will be adjusted based on where this C wave ends. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to check out my other videos, and I will update this again shortly as the waves pan out.